They called it a fluke. July 2023, a Kiwi bloke nobody in America had heard of rocks up to the Chicago street course, jumps in a stock car for the first time in his life, and wins on debut. First driver to do that since 1963, 60 years. And what did the American establishment say? Road course ringer. One-hit wonder. He got lucky in the rain. Well, fast forward to right now, and Shane van Gisbergen has 8 Cup Series wins. He's the 2025 Rookie of the Year. He's the winningest non-American driver in the history of NASCAR's top division. And he did it while the good old boys who've been circling ovals since they could walk stood there watching his rear bumper disappear into the distance. This isn't luck. This isn't a fluke. This is a takeover. And here's the part that should keep every single person in Charlotte awake at night. SVG isn't the invasion. He's the scout, the first bloke over the wall. Because behind him, there's a whole convoy of Aussies and Kiwis coming, and they're bringing a way of driving that NASCAR simply does not have an answer for. So the real question isn't how did SVG win? The real question is why can't the Americans stop him? And the answer is going to make you proud to be from this part of the world. Stick with me, let's get something straight. NASCAR drivers are not soft. Racing 500 miles at 180 mile an hour, 3 wide, inches apart, that takes a set on you. Respect where it's due. But here's the brutal truth about the next-gen car they're all driving now. It's got a sequential gearbox, sure, but it's built around an oval-first philosophy. Turn left again, manage the pack. Now, the skill set that makes you a legend at Talladega is a completely different animal to what makes you fast at a place like Sonoma or the Charlotte Roval. Now, compare that to what SVG grew up doing. Supercars, 3-time champion, 80 race wins, 3 Bathurst thousands around Mount Panorama, one of the most terrifying, unforgiving racetracks on planet Earth, where a mistake doesn't cost you positions, it costs you a trip into a concrete wall at the top of the mountain. And how do you drive a supercar? No traction control, no ABS, no launch control, nothing. You've got a brutal H-pattern feeling sequential shifter, a car that wants to kill you under brakes, and the only thing standing between you and the fence is your own 2 feet. This is where it gets really interesting, the footwork. The thing that made SVG look like a god at Chicago in the wet wasn't magic. It was heel and toe downshifting, blipping the throttle with the side of his foot while he's braking, rolling the car into the corner on a knife edge of grip, feeling for traction that the Americans are used to having handed to them by electronics or by a car built to go straight. SVG doesn't need the grip. He finds it. He's been driving cars with 0 driver aids his entire career, so when the track gets slick, when it rains, when it gets technical, he's not surviving. He's thriving. While the rest of the field is tiptoeing, he's dancing. That's why he's won at Chicago twice, Mexico City, Sonoma, Watkins Glen, and the Roval. 5 straight road course wins at one point. He tied Jeff Gordon's record for 3 consecutive road course wins from pole. Jeff Gordon, a NASCAR immortal, matched by a bloke from Auckland in his rookie season. Now, quick one, because this matters. If you're watching this and you're proud of where we come from, you need to do something for me. Hit that subscribe button. I'm not asking for a favor. I'm asking you to enlist. NASCAR Nation Decoded is documenting the entire Aussie and Kiwi invasion of American motorsport race by race, and I need this channel loud enough that they can hear us all the way in North Carolina. Subscribe and keep the flag flying, because the establishment is watching the numbers too, right? So SVG's the tip of the spear, but if you reckon he's the scary one, wait until you meet the 2 blokes coming in behind him. Let's talk about Cam Waters. Now, Cam is a Supercars weapon in his own right, a genuine front runner back home, a bloke who's led championships and won at Bathurst-level pressure, and he's been dipping his toe into the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series. And in the inaugural race at Lime Rock Park, a tight, technical little road course, Cam Waters survived late race chaos to bring it home 5th. First ever NASCAR top 5 in a truck, on a circuit most of the regulars had never seen either. Here's why Cam's a nightmare, and it's different to SVG. SVG's a surgeon. Cam Waters is a brawler. He came up in a category where rubbing is racing, where you lean on a bloke through a corner and dare him to lift. That's not something you can teach a driver in their 30s who spent their whole life keeping it clean on an oval. Cam will put a fender on you and mean it. But if SVG is the surgeon and Cam is the brawler, the third bloke might just be the most complete of the lot, and this is where the Americans should genuinely be worried. Brody Kostecki. Now pay attention because this one's important. Brody went over to America, jumped into the NASCAR Xfinity Series, and became the 2025 Xfinity Series champion. Let that sink in. An Australian didn't just show up and win a couple of road races. He went to the second highest tier of American stock car racing and won the whole bloody title. Beat the Americans across ovals, short tracks, super speedways everywhere, not just the road courses where we'd expect an Aussie to shine everywhere. And that shatters the entire American excuse, because the last line of defense they had was, yeah, the Aussies are quick when it turns right, but put them on an oval and they're lost. Brody Kostecki just took that argument, screwed it up, and threw it in the bin. He's proven a Supercars driver can master the oval game and clean up on road courses. He's the total package, and he's now got his eyes firmly on a full-time cup ride. So think about what the Americans are facing. SVG, untouchable when it turns both ways. Cam Waters, a brawler who'll race you harder than you've ever been raced. And Brody Kostecki, a champion who's beaten them at their own game on their own tracks. Three drivers, one tiny corner of the world, and the American establishment is starting to panic. How do I know? Because of what they're doing about it. Here's where it gets murky. For years, NASCAR has been quietly tweaking the rules. More short tracks, fewer road courses on some calendars, debates raging in the paddock about how many road and street events belong in a championship built on ovals. And funny enough, every time an Aussie or a Kiwi turns up and embarrasses the field on a road course, the conversation about cutting back road courses gets a little bit louder. Coincidence? The fans down under don't reckon so. Go into any NASCAR comment section, any Aussie racing forum, and you'll see it. Fans calling it the anti-Kiwi agenda. The theory goes like this. NASCAR built its entire identity on the American Oval hero, the local lad who races the way his daddy did. And now here comes this Kiwi who wins in his debut, wins Rookie of the Year, ties Jeff Gordon's records, and he doesn't even sound American. That's a marketing problem for a sport that sells itself on red, white, and blue tradition. So the whispers start: restrict the road courses, protect the schedule, keep the trophies at home. One popular fan comment I keep seeing put it perfectly. They didn't have a problem with road course ringers until the road course ringers started winning championships. Now, is it a genuine conspiracy? Probably not a smoke-filled room plot, no. But is there real gritty resentment that a bloke from Auckland is rewriting their record books? Absolutely, you can feel it. And every rule tweak that just happens to make life harder for the road course specialists lands like a message: this is our house. But here's the thing they've completely missed, and it's the bit that changes everything. You can't rule your way out of talent. You can trim the road courses. You can shuffle the schedule. But Brody Kostecki already proved the Aussies can win on the ovals too. The door isn't just open, it's off the hinges. SVG kicked it in, and now the whole neighborhood back home is looking at America and going, hang on, we can do this. Because that's what SVG really unlocked. It was never just about one Kiwi winning one race in the rain. It was proof of concept, proof that a driver forged in the fire of supercars, no aids, no mercy, brutal cars, brutal tracks, arrives in America overprepared. It was proof that the pathway works, and every young gun in Australia and New Zealand watching SVG spray champagne in victory lane just added conquer NASCAR to their bucket list. That's why the fans down here say it with total confidence: SVG is just the beginning. The floodgates are open, and there's no rule change in the world that can close them now. So I'm going to leave you with the question that's tearing the whole NASCAR world in half right now, and I genuinely want your answer in the comments below. Is NASCAR actually scared of the Aussie and Kiwi invasion quietly changing the rules to protect its own? Or is this exactly the shakeup A stale sport desperately needed, and the establishment should be thanking SVG for it. Drop your verdict below. Fight it out in the comments. And if you want to watch this invasion unfold race by race, subscribe. Join the mission, and let's make sure they hear NASCAR Nation Decoded loud and clear all the way from Bathurst to Daytona. Because this is only lap 1.